katawan. Uminom ng maraming malinis na tubig para iwas dehydration. Makatutulong na mag-brat diet, bananas, rice, apples, and toast. Kumain ng probiotic foods para sa pagbuti ng gastrointestinal system. Payo din ng mga doktor ang ORS o Oral Rehydration Solution para makatulong ma-rehydrate ang katawan at maibalik ang electrolytes na nawala. Siya nga pala, iwas sa mga mamantikang pagkain, mga madadahong gulay, spicy food, kape, tsaa, gatas at alcoholic drinks. Huwag baliwalain ang diarrhea. Delikado ito. Kapag lumala ang kondisyon, sumangguni agad sa doktor. At ito ang dapat ninyong malaman.
Gusto mo bang lumakas ang iyong immune system? Kung ganon, tumawa ka. Oo, tumawa ka. Alam niyo bang sa isang pag-aaral sa University of California, sinasabing kapag nanood ka ng mga nakatatawang palabas, ay mababawasan ang iyong galit at inis ng 61% at natatanggal din ang pagod ng 87%. Sinasabi sa pagsusuri na kapag ikaw ay tumawa, tumataas ang level ng endorphins sa katawan, isang kemikal na nagpapalakas sa immune system ng tao. Ang iba pang benepisyo ng pagtawa ay ang pagbaba ng blood pressure, pagganda ng daloy ng dugo sa puso at utak, at nakakabawas sa sakit ng katawan. Ugaliing tumawa, lalo na't maraming benepisyong maidudulot ito sa atin. Huwag ka nga lang tatawa pag nasa harap ka ng ibang tao. Baka mapagkamalan ka. Paalalang pangkalusugan, hatid ng Radyo Agila.
Ayon sa Global Adult Tobacco Survey, noong 2015, nasa 13.1 million adults, 33.9% ay kalalakihan at 3.6% mga kababaihan ang naninigarilyo sa Pilipinas. Araw-araw, nasa 4% lamang ang naging matagumpay na nakapag-quit, habang nasa 76.7% naman ang nagplano o nag-isip na huminto sa paninigarilyo. Pero bakit nga ba tayo dapat umiwas sa paninigarilyo? Ayon sa World Health Organization o WHO, sigarilyo ang nangungunang sanhi ng kamatayan, disabilities at iba pang sakit. Sa buong mundo, nasa 8 milyon katao ang namamatay taon-taon dahil sa paninigarilyo, habang 1.2 milyon naman ay mga non-smoker na nalantad sa second-hand smoke. Sa pinakahuling report ng WHO, nasa 1.1 billion ang bilang ng mga naninigarilyo sa buong mundo, at karamihan dito ay nasa low and middle income countries. Ito ang dapat mong malaman. Sa kabila ng kampanya ng Bureau of Fire Protection, mataas pa rin ang bilang ng insidente ng sunog. Ayon sa record, nangunguna sa sanhi ng sunog ay ang problema sa electrical wirings. Sa Disaster Preparedness and First Aid Handbook ng Senate Committee on Climate Change, may mga tip na ibinigay kung paano makakaiwas sa sunog. Narito ang ilan: iwasang manigarilyo.
EBC, Eagle Broadcasting Corporation. Ito ang Radyo Agila.
This time check is brought to you by BioQuick, high-quality products for hospitals and labs with 19 years of dedicated service to the community. They have become your trusted partner for all things medical.
Ating lahat dyan sa Pilipinas, siyempre pa. Sumasa inyo ang programang Radyo Agila sa Amerika. Ako po si Don Orozco, giniginaw dito sa Silicon Valley sa California. At siyempre, ang oras po namin dito ay 8:07 ng gabi, araw po ng Friday. Alam naman ninyo, yan ang ating time difference na sinasabi. Di ba, Jonas, ano? Iba kasi talaga pagka yung ang ating mga palatuntunan nasa buong mundo. At gusto ko lang i-share dahil dun sa mga nakasubaybay, ano po, lalo na yung nandito sa Amerika. Of course, pakikinabangan din ito ng mga nasa Pilipinas. Gawa ng, yan, yung camera natin. Ayan, yan, yan, yan. Oh. Gawa ng, sa araw po ng linggo, no, ay dito sa Amerika, magkakaroon ng daylight saving time. Ika nga, kung ito ay 8 ng gabi ngayon, 7 na lang, di ba? So, ganun ang parang, hindi, 9 na pala. 9, yun pala ang adjustment. 9. Kaya, we will be losing an hour of sleep. Okay? Anyway, sa mga nakasubaybay, nakatutok, tayo po ay live na live sa Facebook at saka sa YouTube channel ng Radyo Agila 1062. At syempre pa, live na live tayo sa ating radio station. Napakikinggan po tayo sa buong kapuluan ng Pilipinas. Ang araw na ito, nako, special, di ba? Why is it special? Tanong mo, Jonas? Bakit special? Kasi yung guest natin, special. Di ba? Ang ating pong guest ay member communicator ng National Press Club ng Washington, 'di ba? Yan, kita nyo ang Washington ay Eastern Time. Kumbaga, tayo 8 ng gabi rito, alas 11 na po ng gabi doon. Pero ito pinalipad ko sa California. Sabi ko, lumipad ka muna sa California, dalawin mo yung tatay mo, para nang sa ganun we have the same time. Anyway, without any further ado, I'll introduce to you si Miss Lorna May De Vera. Again, siya po ay isang member communicator ng National Press Club of Washington. Hello, good evening sa atin at magandang tanghali naman sa Philippines. Lorna?
Good evening, Don. Sa tanan ka mo. I don't speak Tagalog. My background is Visayan.
Okay. So bumati ka ng Bisaya.
Pwede man ako maghambal Bisaya.
Okay. So just greet them in your local dialect. I think it's Iloilo, so Bisaya or Ilonggo.
Ilonggo. So,
Okay.
kamusta tanan ka mo? Si Lorna ako. Ako ang bunso sa akong nanay and tatay. Si nanay sa Bohol, Tagbilaran, Antikira, and si tatay sa asa man si tatay? Si Iloilo. And nakita sila duha dito sa Davao, and then nagkasal sila dito sa Davao.
Ayon, di ba? So, yung iyong tatay kinidnap ng nanay mo sa saang lugar sila nagkakilala?
Sa Davao.
Sa Davao.
Si nanay, gusto siya magbaligya ang frutas, ang vegetables, gusto siya magtrabaho dito, independent man siya. And si tatay, nagsiling man siya na ang iyang pamilya, naaman sila luta dito. So nag-ato siya sa Davao, sa Iloilo, and then duha sila nakita dito.
Ayon, di ba? Yung duha, ano ba yung duha? Dalawa. Silang dalawa.
Yes.
The two of them. Okay. So, sabi nga natin, alam mo, I myself, Lorna, no? Just for everyone to know, ako man ay hirap na rin na magtagalog. Di ba? Kaya lang, mas mahirap sa akin mag-English. Di ba? So, Taglish ang ating magiging usapan. Para rin sa ganun tayo lalong magkaunawaan at syempre sa kapakinabangan ng ating mga followers. Okay? So Lorna, just to give our audience an idea, di ba? Will you be able to share to us your immigration story? I know you were born and raised here in the US, but of course, ang roots mo ay yung parents mo. So can you share with us your immigration story?
In English?
Yes, in English.
Okay, all right. So, Nanay and Tatay met and in Davao and then got married, and they ended up having lima ang ilang anak, 5 kids,
Okay.
puros lang babae.
Who's
All
babae? Okay.
All girls.
You should have
All girls.
sent a photo of your of your 4 other siblings.
You know they're shy. They're Filipinas. They're very
Okay.
shy.
Unlike you.
Unlike me, I'm American born, so there you go.
Okay.
So it was a combination of, Tatay and Nanay. Actually, both of them came from a family of 10.
Okay.
And so Tatay's side, his eldest brother, Tito Bobby, I think during World War II, Lulu and Lula were here on Tatay's side. And so he was born here in the States, I think Seattle, which automatically made him a US citizen. So then, Lola didn't like it in Seattle because it was cold. So then they moved back to the Philippines. And then I think what happened was, I think Lulu passed away. And so Tito Bobby ended up coming back here to the States. And then he petitioned the rest of his siblings, all, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 of them, because one served in the Philippine Air Force and passed away. So I think it was 8, because another one passed away when he was just a baby. And so Nanay, I think from what I understand, didn't necessarily want to come to the States, but because she knew life would be hard adjusting. Both parents didn't have a college education. So she wasn't very comfortable, but she knew that with 5 children, 5 girls, there would be very limited opportunity in the Philippines. So with her husband, Tatay, and then the rest of his family saying, just come to the States, Nanay pretty much just caved in. And so the immigration story is they arrived to Stockton, where a majority of the Filipinos landed in Stockton, California. And she was very right. Her life, their life, but Nanay's life was hard because she was a farm worker in Stockton. And I missed all of that because they were already settled by the time I came along in 1973. I think they immigrated in 1969. So I missed the culture, from my sisters. I missed the culture shock. I missed the transition. But it is overwhelming. You don't know the culture. You look different. You don't speak the language. You're having to trust people. You're having to navigate this new life, this new world. And then at the end of the day, you have to eat. You have to feed your kids. You need money. And so you need a job. And the only opportunity that was afforded to my parents, because they had limited education, was farm working. So by the time I did come around, and by the time I would say 5, 6, 7, by the time I started elementary school, Nanay was very, very, very adamant then, to all 6 of us, we need to get an education because life without it would be hard. And then, being American born, being the youngest, I was very maldita. And so, I wouldn't necessarily rebel, but because I couldn't relate to her story, I wasn't able to really connect the dots when she would say, work hard, or you're going to end up working on the farm, and life on the farm is hard. And as a child, I didn't understand, but as an adult, I know exactly what she's saying, right? Working on a farm, especially for a woman, the conditions are difficult. It's unsanitary, breaks are limited, and what Nane would say, depending on what she was responsible for that day, the vegetables, I can't remember which one it was, but she's like, when we pick this one, the basket's really heavy, and my back's hurting, and I dismissed it as a kid because I couldn't see it. But as an adult and knowing what I do professionally, I could not even imagine or care to endure those sacrifices that all immigrants make. So for me today, where I am, one, she is right. She was right. Education makes a difference. And because of those sacrifices, I am very, obviously, to get to where I am today, I too had to make sacrifices, but nothing compared to my parents. But to achieve success in America, you do have to work hard, whatever the definition of hard is, whether it's, pursuing education or taking the difficult jobs and taking the jobs that you don't necessarily like or want, but that that's going to have a positive end result for you. You take it. And so with all of that said, the combination of Nanay's story and, helped me navigate what I needed to do, what I wanted to do, what I had to do to get to where I am today. And, when you asked about Nanay's story, she was very lucky in the sense that she had a great support system. And Nanay was a very, 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 very devout Catholic. She would always, I'll say it in Filipino or Visayan, because this is what she would say. She would always say, pag-ampo sa Ginoo. Pag-ampo lang sa Ginoo. So basically that just says, pray to God, pray to God. That's all she did, was pray to God for help. Because how could you do it? I mean, people who have good paychecks and good jobs still struggle with feeding their family. So mental health wasn't a topic then. So, for her to deal with her mental health, it was really pag-ampo sa Ginoo. So pray to God. And so, she was able to make it from the farm, and here's your tie into Silicon Valley. She I don't know if she had to take a test, but she was eventually hired on at a company in Silicon Valley called National Semiconductor, and it was great. She was able to work in assembly line, and she was happy. She loved it, assembling technology stuff. I don't necessarily know what she was assembling, but she was an assembler, a blue collar assembler. And life was good, where she was able to save enough money and buy a home. I mean, imagine an immigrant with no education. They were able to buy a home here in the US. And you fast forward to when I'm in high school, Nanay loses her job. Nanay loses her job. She has this mortgage. She still has 5 kids at home. Of course, it's stressful. She doesn't know how to fill out an application. So, here, enter my sisters. My sisters who were in high school had to help her fill out an application, find another job. And fortunately, with a lot of sacrifice, struggle, stress, and praying, she was able to find another job in Silicon Valley. So my mother truly made many, 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 many. I cannot say enough how much sacrifice she made, to the point where she worked evenings. She worked what we call here in the States graveyard shift. So she worked the graveyard shift, which was 10 p.m. to about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And what she liked about that schedule was it allowed her to be home during the day. So, Nanay basically never slept, because she wanted to make sure she can go grocery shopping, she can cook, she can clean, she can be here. So you know what? As a kid, I was very spoiled, but I didn't know that until later, right? So by the time I got home, guess what? There was adobo. There was food. There was always something to eat. And I only really appreciated Nanay once I moved out on my own. And I'm like, oh wait, where's the
Lorna,
adobo?
you said there's 5 of you, right? Did you,
6.
and all of you were born here in the US? Is that correct?
No, just me.
Okay. Uh-huh. Are you the youngest or the eldest?
Youngest, bunso.
Okay, you're the youngest. Okay. So, the other 4 siblings, are they here now or are they still in the Philippines?
So there's 6 of us.
Okay.
5 were
Girls.
born in the Philippines. I was
Okay.
born here. And
And
all
all
5
girls.
came, yes.
Okay.
And they all came with Nanay because Nanay said she wasn't going to separate her kids.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, where are your siblings now?
So they're here in the Bay Area. Livermore, Stockton, Fremont, and then I think Burlingame.
Oh, okay. So you actually have someone to help you out in taking care of your dad, huh?
Yes.
Because just for the audience to know, how old is your dad now?
Tatay's 92. He'll be
Your dad,
93 in May.
92. Kita nyo? Kita nyo naman yung longevity ng kanyang tatay. 92 years old. And I had the opportunity to meet both Lorna and her tatay in a Asian event which they participated in. At from then on, inimbita ko na siya at kinaibigan. And then I learned that there's so much things that she gets involved with, especially sa community. Tama ba, Lorna May?
Yes, a lot of community involvement.
Uh-huh. How come you are still able, because you were born and raised here, how come you are still able to speak Bisaya, your dialect?
Because as I was saying, Nanay worked at night, so Tatay got stuck babysitting me. So
That was
Tatay,
So it was tatay
Tatay,
who taught you how to speak. Is your siblings also fluent in the Visayan language?
yes. And then I think the eldest sister, I think she still talks Tagalog too. The eldest sister talks Tagalog and Visayan.
Okay. And what do they do now? Your siblings. What do they do
So,
now?
so number 1 is a retired nurse.
Okay.
Number 2 is a retired court reporter.
Okay.
Number 3 is in human resources.
Okay.
Number 4.
Workplace.
Oh, I'm not gonna. I don't want to say.
Okay. Then next.
Number 4 is a teacher, elementary school teacher.
Okay.
And then number 5 works pharmaceuticals.
Okay. Okay. And all of them are married? Your siblings are all married?
They're all married. They all have kids, and 2 of them are lolas.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh. So, how many grandkids does your family have now?
So Nanay and Tatay have 7 grandkids,
Okay.
and then 6 great grandkids.
Oh, okay. But the unfortunate thing is that your mom already passed away, right?
Correct. She passed away in 2016, and she was 80.
She was 80 when she passed away.
Yes, and that picture I sent to you of all 3 of us was
Mhm.
at her 80th, was for her 80th birthday party.
Oh, wow. Okay. And was it here in the Bay Area or did you have it on the East Coast?
Bay Area.
Sa Bay Area. Okay. And you are currently in Hayward, right?
Yes, I am.
Mhm. And when do you plan to go back to the East Coast? Kasi alam po ninyo mga kababayan, ito pong si Lorna May ay naka-base sa East Coast, ano? So she's here trying to visit and take care for a little bit yung kanyang 92-year-old the father. Is that correct, Lorna May?
That's correct, Don.
And when do you plan to go back to the East Coast?
Tatay will be flying back with me on April 3rd.
Okay, uh-huh. So you're going to bring Tatay to the East Coast.
Yes, Tatay travels with me wherever I go.
Okay, okay. Really? Okay. So you're the one really taking care of your Tatay, huh? But
Yes.
her place of residence really is here in Hayward.
Tatay's residence is Hayward.
Does he
I
have
live in
a place
Alexander.
of his own? Does he have a place of his own?
Oh yeah, it's our house. It's the house I grew up in.
Okay. Uh-huh. Now, just for everyone to know, alam po ninyo, ipinakikita natin yung picture, ano? Makikita nyo si Lorna May served, no? She was in a military service. At napakarami po niyang nais na i-share sa atin. Of course, we will also be talking about her involvement in the National Press Club. At napakarami pang mga bagay ang kanyang inaatupag, kumbaga. At yan yung mga bagay na napakagandang pag-usapan. Pero nakita ko kasi when I met her, she really is a parang yung family bonding sa kanya napaka-importante eh. Kaya nga even though her dad is 92 years old, bit niya kahit dun sa mga events na inaatinan nito pong si Lorna May. But we'll talk all of this, we'll be discussing this probably after we go into break. Jonas, mag-break muna tayo. Sandali po lamang ha. At magbabalik kami ni Lorna May dito po sa programang Radyo Agila sa Amerika. Magpapakilala lang po tayo.
EBC, Eagle Broadcasting Corporation. Ito ang Radyo Agila.
This news is brought to you by BioQuick, high-quality products for hospitals and labs with 19 years of dedicated service to the community. They have become your trusted partner for all things medical.
Ito ang dapat mong malaman. Alam niyo ba na ang pag-inom ng isang basong tubig pagising sa umaga ay malaki ang maitutulong sa ating katawan? Pakinggan niyo ito. Ang tubig ay nagbibigay ng energy sa katawan. Iwas pulikat lalo na sa gabi. Nagtatanggal ng toxins. Nakatutulong sa mga may problema sa bato o impeksyon sa ihi. Nagpapalakas ng immune system. Gaano karaming tubig ang dapat nating inumin sa araw-araw? Iminom mong kahit ang 8 hanggang 12 basong tubig araw-araw. Tandaan lamang na sa mga may heart failure, kailangan munang kumonsulta sa doktor kung ilang basong tubig ang dapat na inumin. Stay hydrated! Ito ang dapat mong malaman.
Nagbabalik po ang programang Radyo Agila sa Amerika. Ako pa rin po ang inyong lingkod, si Don Orozco. At giniginaw pa rin, buti na lang may heater. Dito po sa Silicon Valley, sa San Jose, California. At gaya ng aking sinabi, tayo po ay live na live sa ating YouTube at saka sa Facebook page ng Radyo Agila. at mga kababayan natin dyan sa Pilipinas, uh, of course, if you want to see us, just go to our Facebook and YouTube channel. Pero kung gusto niyo namang marinig lang kami, ayaw niyo akong makita, no? Magsisisi kayo. Hindi naman, hindi naman. Kung kayo po ay walang access na makita kami, nasa radyo po kami. Tune in, Radio Agila, Jess 62, no? DZEC, Radio Agila, Jess 62. Kasama po natin, no? Si Miss Lorna May de Vera, isa po siya sa member communicator ng National Press Club of Washington. Again, Lorna, welcome back.
Thank you. Kamusta? Kananta mo?
Ayun, di ba? Siya po ay born and raised dito sa Amerika, pero is able to speak the Visayan language. Anyway, we were showing pictures of you earlier, Lorna, no? And most of the pictures that you actually send are in military uniform, di ba? So, just
Yes.
wanted to ask, how did you end up in a military uniform? Bakit ka nagkaroon ng kagustuhan na pumasok sa serbisyo? Lorna?
So, Don, I thought in the first segment I was explaining, Nanay worked the graveyard shift, which was 10 p.m. to 7 o'clock in the morning. So Tatay was responsible for babysitting me. And Tatay lived through World War II. So he had a fascination with war movies. So as a kid, I was exposed to war movies. And I grew an appreciation for the military based on Tatay's experience that if World War II turned out differently, the Philippines would end up differently. So I have to say Tatay was very influential in really showing me and teaching me that the military was positive. So you fast forward, and it's time for me to go to college. So I started college and realized I'm having a hard time affording college. And so because I already knew about the military and I had an understanding about the military, I did a little bit more research and found out about the opportunities that the military had to offer. The opportunities included paying for college, traveling the world, getting work experience. So at 19, I just really thought that was a great opportunity for me to pursue. So that's how I started my career in the Navy.
Ayun. So, ayun pala ang nakapagpamulat sa iyo, ha? Palibasa, was he in any part of parang military service din ang iyong father?
No,
Or
not at all.
talagang mahilig lang siya manood ng mga war movies?
Yes.
Okay. And did you get to talk to him na, Dad, I want to go to ano bang service ka? Navy?
Navy.
Oh, Navy. Okay. Oh. Dito pa naman ang sinasabi lagi. Pagka Navy cook, 'di ba? So, how did you convince your dad that you want to go into sa military? Ikaw ba ay did you have a hard time telling him, or he was really open for you to join the Navy?
So when I graduated high school, I was 17. So
Okay.
at 17, I moved out of the house. I moved from the San Francisco Bay Area to San Diego at 17.
Mhm.
And I was living on my own for 2 years with a roommate. And
Oh.
so for those 2 years, I was already making my decisions. So I did not ask either parent for for their blessing, for their permission, for their advice, for their guidance. I made that decision on my own. So after I signed the paperwork is when I told both of them on the phone that I enlisted in the Navy.
Wow. Dun mo lang sinabi sa kanila, ha? And were they
Wala.
surprised?
You know, it's funny because, you know, in the 1990s, we still had phones in the house. We didn't have cell phones.
Okay.
So when I would call them, Tatay would take the call in the bedroom, and then Nanay would take the call in the kitchen. So I
Okay.
was able to talk to all three, or all three of us were able to talk at the same time. So after I signed the paperwork, I went home and I had my college girlfriends with me. And we were all laughing because they knew my mom would have a heart attack. Nanay would have a heart attack. And
Mhm.
she basically did, because when I said, this is what I said. I said, Nay, I just joined the Navy. And then she said, Ano? Ano ang imo siling mo? I said, Nay, I joined the military. And then Nanay was so typical Filipino. I'll tell you her response after I tell you Tatay. So
Okay.
Nanay was having a heart attack on the phone, and I'm laughing. And then Tatay is all excited. He was saying, wow, good for you. You're number one. When do you get to go? Are you going to go on a ship? How exciting. So that's Tatay's reaction. Tatay's ready to go. Tatay's ready to ship me off. And then you have Nanay, who was saying, ay, anak ko, na naman nag-entry ka sa Navy. Na ang imo eskwela, ano ang imo eskwela? Importante ang eskwela. Ang imo buhok, magunting ka ang imo buhok? Ano na? Babae sa military? Wala ko nagabalo ang babae sa military. Na naman gusto ka, ana? And then she went on to say, mag-ato ka ba sa gira? Ayaw ko gusto mag-ato ka sa gira. Na naman nag-ano ka sa ako. Yeah. So that's Nanay just having a heart attack, just saying, na naman nag-ato ka. Na naman nagahata ka problema sa ako. And, you know, I just had to reassure her. I go, Nay, you know, this is what I want. You have to trust me. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry. And so, you know, you had Nana yelling at me, just like, ay, Diyos ko mio, nagaano ka dito. And then you have Tatay saying, that's good, maayo na. You know, maayo, paglakat na. So,
And what year was that? What year was that?
so I signed my contract in October of 1993.
Okay.
And then I went away to basic training in Orlando, Florida in January of 1994.
And how long were you in the military service?
24 years.
24 years. Wow. Eh di, malaki-laki ang pension mo.
Not really.
How did you start it? Just a regular private na one of the boys, kumbaga, but did you rose from the rank?
Yes. So I really did start at the very, 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 very bottom. I started at the very bottom, that my rank and my title was called Seaman Recruit. And did I lose you, Don? Are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I started out as an E1, which is a seaman recruit. And then, you know, there's two career tracks in the military. There's, well, three if you count civilian, but there's two career tracks in the uniform side. And, you know, the one side is enlisted, and that's where I started. and then the other career track is officer. So on the enlisted side, there's 9 ranks. You go from E1, E2, E3, E4, all the way to E9. So I went from E1 to E6. And then I was later commissioned as an officer under the designator public affairs. So I was later commissioned as a public affairs officer.
Okay. So technically, that was the one who opened the doors for you for the National Press Club.
Correct.
Okay, but continue your tour of duty in the military. Go ahead.
So I was commissioned as an O1, which is an ensign, and then then I achieved the next rank of O2, which is lieutenant junior grade. And then one of the photos that you have there is my promotion to lieutenant, which is an O3, which was great timing for me because it was memorable in the sense I was promoted in Afghanistan with
Wow.
our, it was great. It was a great way to, at the end of my career, basically, to be
What
promoted.
year was that when you were in Afghanistan?
I was in Afghanistan from 2011 to 2012.
Okay. Uh-huh. And was there any like active war during your tenure in
Yes,
Afghanistan? Okay.
yes.
And did you experience being shot at while flying or making a tour of the city or the town?
Thankfully, no.
Okay.
But I was there to cover the heroes that were there on the front line.
So basically, around that time, you were already like on the media side, performing like a media already.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Now, so that's 2012. When did you retire? What year did you retire?
2018.
2018. So after 2012, where were you assigned? Back to the US na?
Yeah, so after Afghanistan, I came to San Francisco and I served as a US Navy recruiter for 2 years in San
Okay.
Francisco.
Uh-huh.
And then after the 2 years here, I went back. That was from 2013 to 2015. And then I went back to DC in 2016, and then I finished out my tour in DC 16, 17, 18. Yep.
Okay, okay. One of the more colorful military guy that has of Filipino descent is General Taguba, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Were you able to get to know him or were you able to meet?
Yes. General Taguba and I are associates. He's a huge advocate for mentoring and military, and we are both affiliated. He was one of the founders of a mentoring organization called PPALM.org, Pan Pacific American Leaders and Mentors. And I am a member with that organization, and it caters to those in uniform and providing them with guidance and mentoring on how to navigate their military career.
Wow. Oh. So technically, you guys are retired, but still doing military service on a private on the private sector.
Correct. Yes.
So one important question on that is who pays more?
Who pays more for what?
Well, in the military, what the perception is that you actually have a good pay, right? Maganda sweldo. So ikukumpara mo sa non-military, uh, uh, How do you compare the pay?
Oh, you know what? I don't. That's a good question. I don't. I personally don't compare the pay.
Okay,
You
so
know,
you're just
I mean,
really do enjoying what you're doing.
yeah,
Okay.
yes, yeah, and 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 I don't know if I fully understand your question, but with what we do on with the ppalm.org, we're volunteers. We're not paid for that.
Oh, really? Okay. So what's
Yeah,
so in terms of income you have now is just the pension?
no, I still work.
Okay, okay. But not in a full-time capacity.
No, I have a full-time job, but that's not something I'm prepared to cover during this interview.
Okay, okay. Now, one other thing that wanted to talk about is the National Press Club. So how did you end up being a member communicator, and what does a communicator do for National Press Club of Washington?
So I became affiliated with the National Press Club through my membership with the American Legion. I was recruited to be part of an American Legion post, and that post happened to meet at the National Press Club. And so one of the retired U.S. Navy captains recruited me to be part of the National Press Club.
Uh-huh.
And as a former public affairs officer in the Navy, I fit in the category of communicator, and a communicator is basically someone who, for my skill set, I was stronger in photography than I was in writing. So that's the category I fell in. There are other categories, but I'm actually not familiar with what all of them are, to be honest with you.
Uh-huh. Mhm. So
So
more
as a
or less, you
member,
are not into you're not really in media as a journalist, but as a photographer. Is that what you're
correct.
saying?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes,
Mm,
yes.
okay. Uh-huh. And what sort of topics do you cover as a photographer?
Oh, so I'm no longer in that field, but when I was in public affairs, I think the best description of an assignment that I had was humanitarian. I was on assignment for a humanitarian outreach program that the Navy had, which was called Africa Partnership Station. So I was based out of Naples, Italy for 6 months. And the United States Navy had a partnership with countries in Africa. And so whenever there was a humanitarian partnership in West Africa during the 6 months I was there, I would go down there and cover it. And so those were the images that I took.
Okay. So you had the opportunity to practically travel all over.
I really did. I
Okay.
really did. And I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. It's not for everyone, but it was for me. And I really, really enjoyed it.
And what were the subjects, the subject matter of your photography? Is that something that you can freely discuss? Like,
Sure. So
mhm.
yeah, so some of my images are actually published online. And I think one of the best photos that I took was when we were in Sierra Leone. The ship was approaching the Sierra Leone um, dock port, and I was able to take a photo of the ship incoming. And so it was called Man the Rails photo. So I took that photo, and then whenever the Sierra Leone Navy and Lome Togo, I was actually in Lome Togo also. Whenever those two navies would collaborate and train and work together, those were images that I captured.
Okay. And what are those terminologies? Is that the name of the ship or?
So Sierra Leone is a country, and Togo is a country in West Africa.
Okay. So you were actually stationed there, working there.
I flew. Yes, yes. I flew. I flew in. I flew into those two countries.
Okay, and you were talking about docking of ship. So there's
Right.
no, it's not, you're not in the wild, you're not in like a safari setting. Safari setting.
No, no, no.
Mm.
Because
And
those countries are coastal. Those are coastal countries.
your main office is in the US, right? So do you travel like how often do you travel? Like you being assigned in Africa and then another country. How long do you stay in one country?
Oh, just as long as the exercise was happening. So I would fly in for the weekend, and then I would fly back to Naples, Italy.
Okay. Have you also flew to the Philippines for your job as well?
No, not for my job. But that's a great question in the sense Nanay did take me home to the Philippines when I was 5. She wanted me to meet her Nanay and Tatay, and I'm so thankful for that experience because I did have a chance to see where Nanay was from, and I got to meet Lula and Lula on Nanay's side.
Oh, wow. It was quite an experience. You know how it is with the Filipino family. It's really closely knit.
Right. So she's based out of Bohol. So I had a chance to go to Bohol and I had a chance to go to Chocolate Hills in Bohol.
Oh, wow. Exciting, huh?
It was. It was. It
Mhm.
was.
Philippines may be a small country, but there's a lot of places to really visit, right?
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
And I remember
And
Manila. Manila was
and
hot.
was that the only time you went to the Philippines, or you were also able to travel there when you were already like more senior, more adult?
No, no, no. That was the only time I've been there.
Really?
Yes.
So, in all your life, you never went back?
No, because I was based on the East Coast.
Okay. Oh, wow, wow. So you missed a lot of things in the Philippines already, huh?
Yes.
But you probably don't remember any, very little image you see now.
No, I remember Nanay's house where she grew up in Bohol. I remember it because it was such a culture shock. It was a house that Lolo built. It had no electricity. It had an outhouse.
Uh-huh.
It was very green,
Mhm.
so I'm going to remember those images because that's, here in the States, we have running water, we have a shower, we have a bathtub, we have a toilet, we have a kitchen, we have a stove, we have running electricity. They didn't have any of that. To the point, Lolo's house was 2-story. And it was built, I guess, out of bamboo. That when I was on the second floor, I was able to look in between the bamboo sticks to the first floor. So
Uh-huh.
I do remember that. And then I remember how they turned in their electricity. They had their electricity by plugging it into like a car battery.
Uh-huh.
And then I remember I was homesick, so my titas went to go bake me a cake. And then I'm like, well, where are they go? Where did they get this cake from? And they said that they baked it in the cave. And so, like you remember those things.
Uh-huh. Mhm. Wow. What an experience you had when you were again, it's a good thing you have a good memory of your visit to the Philippines. And now it is really very crowded, especially in Manila. But you never get to stay in Manila, just pass by, right?
No, well, Nanay had a cousin there, so we stayed with Nung Abolino and Nina, and I got to hang out in Manila too. And so my memory of Manila was it was very hot, and I remember that to get soda, it was in a bottle. But when you went to go get a bottle of soda, you had to like make sure that you return the bottle too. And if you didn't, you have to stand there and drink it. I remember having to stand there and drink my soda. And I remember the jeepney. We got to ride on a jeepney. And coming from the States, you know, again, it's like we have seat belts. It's safe here in the States. You go there, it's the Wild Wild West. And like I saw kids my age who were like just riding in the back, and all I could do was stare. I'm like, and then I just remember Nana with her fan. She was fanning herself, and it was just hot. I just remember that. And she would always just say anako, because she didn't want me to get lost. She didn't want me to, like, she knew I would be lost if I got lost because I didn't speak the language then. You know, I was Americanized.
Well, that's how it is, you know. That's why they always say it only in the Philippines. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Anyway, Lorna, you know, you were having thoughts of doing this interview when we spoke, right? You know, you thought it will be like too long, but you see, we're not even half of what we should be discussing, but we're already done an hour, right? You know how time
Yes.
flies, especially
Yes.
when you enjoy the conversation. Anyway, before we end this interview, I just wanted to ask you if there's anything that you want to go, if there's anyone you want to greet or you want to promote anything, now is the time. Lorna?
Well, Don, I want to make sure I say thank you to you. Thank you for this opportunity. I think it's wonderful that you do this to share voices. So there's that connection between quote unquote the homeland and here. And so, thank you for what you do. And I would just say as my parting words, I'm very proud to be a Filipina. I'm very proud to be a Filipina American. But most of all, I'm really, 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 really proud of Nanay and Tatay and all the elder Filipinas and manongs and lolos and lulas. I know life is not and was not easy. And so I'm so thankful for Nanay and Tatay and all of the relatives back home for just being an absolute role model and support system. And it's because of Nanay and Tatay and all of my heritage that I work so hard to share the story, and so that everybody behind me, all the up and coming, all the young people have something to aspire to, can believe that it can be theirs too. If they pursue it, if they want it, that they can go and get it. So those are my lasting words where, I am proud of my heritage, I'm proud of my culture, and I really am thankful for Nanay and Tatay and your show, Dawn, because hopefully if I can just get one young adult, one young child to say, I too want to join the military, I too want a college education, I too want this, I too want that with heart, you have to do the hard work, but with that hard work, you can achieve it.
Well, thank you so much also for gracing the show. You know, Lorna, you just added spice to the show, and I am very thankful to you as well. And thank you for the service you did for our country and of course to the community. Yan po, no, mga kababayan, si Miss Lorna May De Vera, siya po ay member communicator ng National Press Club of Washington. Hindi yan Washington sa Maynila, no? Washington dito po sa Amerika. Yan yung Washington DC. Kaya if there's anything that you want to connect with her, how are they able to reach to you? Lorna, paano ka ba makokontak?
I am on LinkedIn. That's the only social media platform I am on. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn.
Okay, yan. Sa LinkedIn and carrying the whole name Lorna May De Vera. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Ayan, nako. So, naka-boundary na naman po tayo. Maraming salamat, Lorna. Thank you very much. And of course, I would also like to thank Mr. Jonas Pascual, si Jonas, na itong si Jonas kung hindi dahil sa kanyang assistance for the link and everything, nako, baka tumaob tayo. So thank you so much, Jonas, for the support, and of course, sa ating network, ang ating DZEC Radio Agila, Jes 62. Kaya sa susunod po na Sabado diyan sa Pilipinas, and of course Friday dito, no? Daylight saving time na kami. Kaya ang umpisa na namin dito sa Amerika, 9 o'clock, hindi na 8 o'clock. No po. Pero sa Pilipinas, nananatiling 12 o'clock, di po ba? At again, nandito pa rin po tayo, syempre. At live na live sa ating Facebook and YouTube channel ng Radyo Agila. Ako po si Don Orozco, mula po rito sa Silicon Valley sa California para sa programang Radyo Agila sa Amerika. Maraming salamat po.